Na verdade, essas costuras são tudo feitas com amor, né? Pelo amor de Deus, olha que carinho tem a mulher. Tanto de detalhe. Tipo, que pena que agora as pessoas não subjeitam. Oh, que fofo! Só uma coisa aí, não é tudo. E, na verdade, essa boneca é feita com amor. Muito carinho pelos fãs. Muito carinho pelos cuidados. Com, simplesmente, o cuidado que se faz, tá bom?
Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. With the end of the year fast approaching, I've been eager to finish a doll I've been wanting to create for the longest time. Ever since its release in 2014, I've been a huge fan of Patrick McHale's animated miniseries Over the Garden.
Agora posso dormir.
The series follows two brothers seemingly lost in the world of the unknown, a world rich in themes of Brothers Grimm-like fairy tales and 19th century Americana. It's truly one of the most unique and gripping animations I've seen. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like it. Comment. I love reading all of your comments. The character we'll be creating today will be the older brother, Wode.
Eu vou desligar, né? Olha porque você repetiu o vídeo. Porque eu quero. Não é porque eu quero. É porque eu quero uma exposição. Obra de prima. Maravilhoso. Lindo.
I'm leaning more towards the female version. The male body is quite triangular and muscular, which doesn't really fit in with the character design.
Combinou um pouquinho a música, mas ficou muito boa.
Best suit his silhouette. But of course though, I'll give it some modifications. For the modifications, I'm going to resculpt the chest by removing the breasts. This doesn't need to be perfect.
Agora eu tô confundindo a música dali com a música daqui. De boa.
Let's prepare the head for customizing. With some hot water,
Customizing words.
30 seconds.
Cute.
This will loosen the vinyl and allow me to remove the hair plugs and the eyes.
Eu fui olhando pra esse vídeo faz um bom tempo, sem saber o que era, então acho que eu cliquei e ficou maravilhoso. Porque ficou tão maravilhoso.
With some 100% acetone and a cotton swab, it's time to remove the factory paint. Remove the factory paint. This paint is very strong. Oh my gosh, why isn't it coming off? Okay, this paint is way too strong. It literally only comes off with sanding with a Dremel. But that's okay, I was willing to do some facial modifications anyway. For the facial modifications, I want to remove the eyelashes and the eyeline, create a concave silhouette for eye sockets, and remove the lips in order to build up a new mouth shape. With some milliput, let's build up a new face. For his face, I'm going to give him a nice high nose bridge, smaller eyes, and build up an undefined top lip. Oh, and his lovely ears, of course. While on camera, I spray painted and recolored his head. I did remove all of that again and continued sculpting just a little bit more. It's okay to not get it right the first time. In his second sculpt, I made his eyes even smaller. Brought the eyes down a little bit lower, made it so he had no top lip at all, and only a partial bottom lip. As well, I sanded everything down so much finer than I did previously. The paint I used for the base is Games Workshop Citadel Wraithbone. Then with a layer of Vallejo 017 Basic Skin for the base, and 020 Sunny Skin for the contour of the face. Once that's dry, I added a layer of Vallejo Gloss Varnish, a layer of Vallejo Matte Varnish, and finally a layer of Mr. Super Clear Matte Varnish. It's a lot of varnish, I know, but I always find it gives the best finish.
Good
Let's
joke.
start creating the face. The materials I'll be using are my Faber-Castell watercolor
That's good
pencils,
joke.
as well as some of my fine tip brushes and some water on hand to make those lines nice and neat. For shadows, I'll be using soft pastels and some eyeshadows. For added definition later on, I'll be using acrylic paint. The brands I'll be using are Vallejo and Scale 75.
Fala.
Originally, I had actually wanted to make this doll into a stop-motion puppet, inspired by the 2 stop-motion films we've been graced with recently, Wendell and Wild and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I love the rustic, handmade look of puppets in stop motion and felt it would be perfect for Wert's character. I wanted to make the model with fully movable faceplates like they use in stop motion today, but I couldn't figure out the mechanics. Mainly that little mechanic that makes the eyes move. It's a shame, but that's okay. Maybe in the future. Nonetheless, direct inspiration for Wert's face came from characters like Eggs and Winnie from Box Trolls, as well as Norman from Paranorman, mainly referencing the painting style of the puppeteers, as the characters have amazing isolated colouring used for shading and blushing of their faces, for that perfectly imperfect look. To create the eyes, I first cast resin in 1 centimeter resin eye molds. I found the iris too big, however, so made them smaller with some milliput. Once it is dry, I gave it a colour with some white spray paint, and I can start adding in all the details. While Wirt has just black dot eyes in the cartoon, I wanted to give a little bit more detail to this doll. I think for Wirt, he should have some lovely warm brown eyes. I've been having a lot of fun with insert eyes recently, but I definitely haven't perfected them. No matter how much time I spend on details in the iris, as soon as I add the resin, it just dulls it, and you really just can't see any of that work that you've done, which is disheartening in a way, when you spend so long trying to make it look nice and it's gone. I'll definitely have to do more practice, maybe by watching how people with prosthetic eyes have their eyes made. But as well, I think if I start watching that, I'll start collecting those eyes like a goblin. Whilst we let the head and the eyes settle, it's time to start on the clothes. Wirt's clothes play an essential role in not only his design, but as well to display his character. Wirt is shown as a person in that awkward stage of life, trying to craft his own identity while being shackled by anxieties, uncertainties, and the general ebb and flow of the teenage world. I think this can be shown in the fact that he puts together this outfit from random things he finds around the house and feels proud of it, only for that pride to be extinguished and replaced with anxiety when people somewhat backhandedly question him on why he's dressed like that. Patrick McHale actually said in an interview that Wirt's costume is referenced from a costume he made in his own life, so I feel like it can be symbolically read that way. Let's get started with the cape. Do forgive me, I didn't actually realize this when I was watching the show and of course doing research for this, that I missed a reference and so I made a headcanon instead. Whilst Wirt wears a large blue cape, when I was designing the cape I thought it would be fun to make a doll-sized version of a vintage women's cape jumper, with the idea that the cape would have been something that Wirt's mum would have worn, maybe just some old clothes that he found and he decided to borrow. It would not only make it look nicer, but make it a little